bases dropped from a new round of SDH AM. John, hear you there. And greetings once again from Macon. And this is day 2 of our Macon Madness. Let me fix the headroom here. And it'll be today and tomorrow. The Macon Madness continues for another couple of days. And it is basketball championships for me here in Middle Georgia. So it is, I think, 1 o'clock is when things kick off, and we will have all of that for you on all of the GPBs. And so we'll have that there for the next couple days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Today is Thursday, isn't it? So we'll get into that and a couple of other things for you this morning. So here is the rundown for the day. Here in the early part, we'll kind of do the review and the preview and what to watch and all the things and gossip, rumor, and innuendo. 9:30, Senior VP and Chief Business Officer of Atlanta United Skate, Noftsinger, is going to join us because there's like 98 different things that I've got to talk to her about. Everything from me going broke to really cool legacy stuff that we're getting into. And there's some other things involving season ticket holder notifications and really cool opportunities there as well. So we'll get into that with Skate coming up here at the bottom of the hour. Then hour number 2 is the Power Hour with Nino and Niko. And what that means is that we get to tour the planet and we get to find out what's going on. Obviously, with Nino Damas, we get to find out, okay, here's the deal with that. And with Nino Damas, it is... it's like you're running around here and you always kind of forget to do things. And so, all right, so that and that and that. So it's like, man, you're running around. And I will say this. When the sirens go off here in Middle Georgia at like 6:45 this morning, it's a really rude wake-up call. It is a really rude wake-up call. And I guess this is technically opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Now, I don't know how many of you have been watching Weather Channel this morning, but it's already been a long morning in Middle Georgia. And right now it is a long morning in East Georgia. And it is one of those it's one of those opportunities for all of us to be reminded who's in charge. The sirens went off this morning at like 6:45, and then that meant that you turned on the local weather, and you just see the squall line coming through, and the sirens didn't go off. I mean, the sirens didn't stop for a good 45 minutes. And in larger metropolitan areas, we have them occasionally. But here in Middle Georgia, where I am in a hotel room in Macon, it is, part and parcel for the course. So this morning, we got the rude awakening, and we were reminded who is, in fact, in charge, and that is Mother Nature. So obviously, we're keeping an eye on everything here, keeping an eye on our friends in East Georgia, and as it drifts over into toward the coast and into South Carolina. Obviously, we're keeping an eye on all of our friends there today, so keep an eye out for them as well. Schools are opening late. Some of the schools that are attached to the championships today are getting this line of storms, and so it'll be part of the plot line as we go today. Is just how they are. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff. But yeah, it was a rude awakening about 6:45 this morning with all of the very, very loud sirens that hit this morning. And so it looks like everything is okay here where we are in downtown Macon. South of us toward Fort Valley and such, and also inland and toward Dublin. This is where things have been kind of drifting, and it's in Augusta right now. So obviously we're keeping an eye on everybody. So just keep everybody in your thoughts today here in the southeastern United States and also in the upper Midwest as well. So that's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. And as always, once again, we get to start your day, and you get to help us navigate through it, as do our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Rich beans from Brazil and Guatemala. And you see them at our events, and you see them all around the city of Atlanta. So once again, thanks to our friends at Black Pitch Coffee for being partners with us here at SDH for opening kickoff. Okay, and Ricky, this is just temporary. The 9 o'clock is just temporary. It is not a new thing. It's just so I can have a hard out at 11 o'clock, so I can make it to the arena by 11:30, so we can be ready for broadcast at 1 o'clock. It is strictly that. It is not anything else. It is not just me getting a wild hair and just sitting there going, "Hey, let's do this." No, this is strictly having to do with. It is strictly having to do with just having a hard out at 11 o'clock, so I can time things, so I can get to the arena in time for us to be on the air at 1 o'clock. So, uh, yeah, and so Ricky, yeah, Weather Channel app said the high is 60. Apple says high of 70. Google Speaker said it's 55. So let's see. You're supposed to do the mean, I think, with this. So 130 and is 185 divided by 3. So I'd go low 60s. Just to be right there in the middle, say low 60s. You'll be all right. David, just be safe getting down here, and tomorrow is going to be the day where it's going to be just absolutely crazy, because you have two teams that are local, and they're going to be the 1 o'clock and the 3 o'clock. And literally, we'll talk about it probably tomorrow for opening kickoff. But if you're not here early tomorrow at the Macon Coliseum, you're not going to get here till dinner time. You're not going to get in. You've got Southwest Macon playing, and then before that, East Lawrence. They're just going to come down the road, and it's the first time ever for East Lawrence chasing a title. Southwest Macon last year, when we had a Macon-based school here at the Macon Coliseum, they had to have the fire marshal tell everybody to turn around and go. That's how bad it was. Or I mean, from a perspective of, people, place was overrun. They had maxed the place out, and so that's going to be tomorrow. Should be great crowds again today, especially coming from South Georgia. Anything I missed from Atlanta that I need to bring? Let's see, David. I think I'm good, because I actually packed for being here. So the back of the Subaru was completely and totally just jammed with clothing and, food and all of that. So knowing that I wasn't going to be getting a lot of time to eat, I always end up eating while I'm here after the day is over. So I kind of packed for here, as opposed to packing for just, hey, I'm going to show up here for 4 days. And, then on Sunday, we're going to stop and get barbecue on the way home. So that's the plan anyway. So that is the rundown. Morning, Abby, and it's going to be an interesting couple days. But day one is done. Day two is coming up here, and that's why we do the 9 o'clock today and tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, it is Dave Leno for Opposition Research. Actually, today, once again, it's going to be the Power Hour from 10 to 11 with Nino and Niko. Then Skate Noftsinger is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Tomorrow, Opposition Research with Dave Leno, the play-by-play voice of Philadelphia Union. He is going to be joining us, I think, from the airport. And so Dave will discuss everything about Philadelphia, what he saw last week, what he's anticipating this week, because Philadelphia's in 3 matches in a week. What's it going to look like? How are they responding so far to this season? Not a whole lot of offense being seen from Philadelphia. So we'll get into that with Dave from the airport tomorrow. Then our friends from Apple are going to join us at they're going to join us at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be Jorge Perez Navarro, and we're going to catch up with him tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Jess Charman, who is supposed to join us today, is a little under the weather. We need her to save her pipes, so she's going to join us at 10:30 tomorrow. So tomorrow is Dave Leno, Jorge Perez Navarro from Apple, and Jessica Charman. She's going to join us at 10:30. So that's tomorrow. Today, all right. Let's get into what happened last night, and it is. It started kind of wild and ended just north of crazy. Let's go backward. So last night and late last night, and I was up because of this. So San Diego FC and Toluca, they started late. So leg one of their match, David Vasquez has a brace. Anders Dreyer got his first goal. El Paratero got his first goal of international competition. Jesus Gallardo had given Toluca an early lead. He converts a penalty in the 16th minute. Toluca awarded a PK after Marcus Ingevartsen whistled for a dangerous kick in the penalty area and was shown straight red. So you have Ingevartsen getting a straight red. And his SOFA score rating, by the way, was a 3. That literally is the lowest rating I think I've ever seen from anybody on SOFA score, a 3. So Marcus Ingevartsen lasted 12 minutes. You had review. and you end up with a straight red for Ingvartsen, and so they're down to 10 men in the 16th minute. Gajardo gets a PK, and it's 1-0. Then David Vasquez scores 32 and 46 to make it 2-1. So San Diego's down a man. They even it up in the 32nd minute with David Vasquez. Then Vasquez scores again in the 46th. Dreyer scores in the 53rd. So down a man, San Diego is up 3-1. And then you end up with another penalty on a handball by Manu Dua. And Dua was shown a red after review, and the San Diego players were saying, it touched him more on the shoulder, but then you look at the replay from behind the net, and it kind of touched him about here. So San Diego ends up playing a handful of minutes. I think it was the 6 added, down to 9. And so they finished with 9 men on the day, and Toluca loses 3-2. San Diego, obviously, you're down a man, you're not going to have possession, so it didn't really matter. It was 2-1 in possession. And Toluca had an XG of 4.6. San Diego had an XG of 1.79, and they exceeded that, and they scored 3 goals. So Duran Free, and it was a young lineup for San Diego. Very, very young lineup for San Diego. And it was, you had Duran Free, you had, let me see if I can find the lineup numbers here. So David Vasquez, Luca Bombino assisted on 2 of the 3 goals. Amal Pellegrino got his first goal contribution in the Triple C. Duran Free, first international debut, first start in the Triple C, allowed first 2 goals of his professional career, first 3 saves of international career. Anibal Godoy missed because of yellow card accumulation, so you're going to get Anibal Godoy back, but you're not going to have Dua or Ingvartsen for the reverse leg. You had Osvaldo Schur had his San Diego debut when he came on as a sub in the 90th minute. Lewis Morgan made his Triple C debut. So it was nuts with this lineup that they had. So the lineup, very, very young for San Diego FC. It was Free in net. You had Bombino, Dua, McVeigh, and Verhoeven. Midfield, Valakari, Tverskov, and David Vasquez. Dreyer, Ingvartsen, and Pellegrino up top. And then you brought in for San Diego Ian Pilcher, Lewis Morgan, Osvaldo Schur, and Pedro Soma. Bryce Duke came in for a cup of coffee as well. And you had a referee in this particular matchup that I think lost the plot very early on. And it was a very, very difficult game, a difficult match for him to manage. And it showed as it went along. You had a lot of crowding. And I'm sure that if Bart had seen this match, he would have been not too happy. Walter Lopez from Nicaragua was the man in the middle last night, and he had a long night. So it was a long night for Walter Lopez, but it was a long night for San Diego that they do in fact survive. And you only had 7 cards issued, but once again, 2 of them were reds. Ingvartsen a straight red, Manu Dua a straight red, Lopez, Diaz, and Andres Pereira each got yellow cards. And then Bombino and Manu Dua had cautions. Manu Dua ends up getting the ejection 16 minutes later. So 7 cards on the night. And it was 20 shots, 5 on target, 10 fouls for Toluca, 8 shots for San Diego, 5 on target, 15 fouls, 25 fouls were called. And honestly, it could have been a lot more. It could have been or should have been a lot more. And you end up with San Diego getting the Duke in that match very, very early this morning, before the rain and the thunder and everything. So you had that one for San Diego, and then the other matches, it took a little while, but LAG ended up getting the win over Mount Pleasant. It was 3-0. It was 1-0 for a long time, and they were Raheem Edwards' early second half against JT Marcinkowski had the chance for an equalizer, and it was saved. Trying to go 5-hole, Marcinkowski squats and gets the save, and I think that was probably the closest chance Mount Pleasant had, and it ended up as a 3-0 final, and it took a little while. They had 2 goals late with Gabriel Peck, and so that was the final there. And then you had in the early match, Nashville and Messi and friends, a goalless draw. that seemed to have been celebrated very, very happily by Nashville. They were pretty happy about it. And it's like, they held, the way that it was phrased, it's like they held Messi and friends to a draw. And so they made that point on social media. So that was let's suffice to say that was an interesting phraseology. And I'm trying to see if CONCACAF is in this particular setup or if it's in something else. I'm gonna have to probably go someplace else to kind of. They go world. It's like, why is the world under E? Everybody? I have no idea. So I'm trying to sit here and sift through the let's see, CONCACAF Champions Cup. Okay, here we go. So last night, just to go through the numbers, and we had showed you that it was something of a decided favorite for Messi and friends, and then by the time it went to before it went to kick, it finished up with both of them being at a plus 150. Draw was a plus 280, goalless draw. Now the Galaxy finished up at a minus 33. They end up winning 3-0. San Diego was a dog at home by the time it kicked. That flipped. So they were a dog at home and a plus 200, and they end up getting the win 3-2. So interesting day in CONCACAF, and it showed. So San Diego survives, and now they get to turn around. Everybody survives, and they're going to end up playing 3 matches in a week. So we'll see what happens there with all of those folks. We'll get into the gossip, rumor, and innuendo and what to watch and all the things coming up here in a bit. Today, we'll go ahead and do the previewy stuff. Let's get into what to watch, because I don't know how much time I'm going to have on the back end to discuss. But what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it. We'll go over the juice boxes in a little bit for the activity that's going on later today. So I want to go here. I want to go here. It's like just take me where I want to go. That's all I want. That's all I want. So the soccer on the tube today, and I've already subscribed, people. It doesn't remind me. It doesn't recognize me on all of the devices, and so this is turning into a pain. This is absolutely turning into a pain. So it might take a little bit here. So hang on just a second. I beg your forbearance, because I'm trying to juggle about 19 different things here this morning. So okay, so let's open a new tab and go to our second device and go ahead and lay it all out. Okay, so now soccer today. We have the Triple C, the final 2 matches. Cincinnati and Tigres at 8, Vancouver and Seattle. You've got Cascadia at 10 o'clock. We'll get into that with Niko Moreno coming up at the last half hour of the show. Europa League is going on today. We'll have those juice boxes for you. Bologna-Roma at 1:45. Forest and Midtjylland is at 4 o'clock on 2NA. And they are simulcasting the Champions Cup matches at 8 and 10. Unimas has Europa League, Nottingham Forest, and Midtjylland. The Plus had very, very early this morning Brisbane and Western Sydney. Paramount Plus has all 8 of your Europa League matches and all 8 of your Conference League matches, half of them at 1:45, half of them at 4 o'clock. Find a Golazo show. That's the only way you're going to be able to keep up. On the women's side, Copa de la Reina is at 4, Badalona and Barcelona on ESPN Deportes. Peacock has the USL Super League at 7 with DC and Dallas. A-League was early this morning with Newcastle and Sydney, which was part of Picks of the Week, as well as Adelaide and Perth. And so that was stuff to look at for the 2 of them. So let's go ahead and see if we can get the juice boxes squared away for Europa League today and for Europa Conference League, now that we're thinking about it. So Europa League today, and it is 4 at 1:45. AS Roma favored at Bologna at a plus 145. Villa favored at Lille at a plus 129. Betis favored at Panathinaikos at a plus 104. Porto is a dog at Stuttgart at a minus 102. Celta de Vigo at 4 o'clock, plus 104, hosting Lyon at a plus 275. Ferencváros is a dog at home to Braga at a plus 137. Genk and Freiburg. Genk a plus 163. Freiburg was a plus 175. And Forest is a minus 189. Big favorite at home against Midtjylland at a plus 475. So that is Europa League at 145 and 4. So if we go into Conference League at 145 and 4 o'clock, it is AZ Alkmaar favored at home against Sparta Prague at a minus 114. Lech Poznan favored slightly at home against Shakhtar at a plus 150. Shakhtar's a plus 170. Rijeka is a dog at home to Strasbourg, who's a minus 125. Rijeka, big underdog at a plus 320. Samson Spor, a big dog to Rayo Vallecano at home. Rayo Vallecano's a plus 110. Samson Spor's a plus 275. 4 o'clockers. AEK Athens is a minus 161 on the road at Celje. Crystal Palace, a big favorite. Keep an eye on this one for Oliver Glasner. Crystal Palace minus 435 hosting Larnaca at a plus 1200. Fiorentina minus 111 at home to Raków Czestochowa out of the Polish League at plus 309. And Sigma Olomouc, a big dog to Mainz at a minus 137. Sigma is a plus 375. So that is that's your numbers with Conference League today. Let's get into, let me see, do I go everywhere? What was it, E for the everything else? So, of course, I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm trying to go North and Central America, and it doesn't give me the E anymore. It just kind of gives me everything else in alphabetical order. Okay, so Champions Cup numbers. It is Cincinnati is a slight underdog at home to Tigres at a plus 170. Tigres is a plus 163. Vancouver in leg one, favorite at home to Seattle at a minus 139, and Seattle is a plus 375. So that's the juice boxes for those. And can the chaos from yesterday match the chaos from last night and today and the previous other couple of legs? So we'll have that. We'll have that one for you once again tomorrow, 9 o'clock, and it's just one more day of 9 o'clock. Then the rest we go back to 9:05 when I'm back in the studio and I don't have a hard out or anything like that. We are getting guests lined up for next week as well. It was great to have Matt Brown from Extra Points on yesterday. You can go back and listen to the show in its entirety, or you can go back and listen to the Matt Brown segment on your favorite podcatcher. It is there as well. Sorry we were not able to do Dalton and the Baylor School yesterday. Jason's voice is shot at the moment, and he's trying to get over something that's been hitting him for like the last 48 hours. He is feeling better, and we are planning to have Calhoun and Gilmer on the network tomorrow, 5:30, 7:30 from LJ. So Calhoun and Gilmer, boys and girls soccer on the network with Jason tomorrow, 5:30, 7:30, catching up with our friends up in LJ at Gilmer in the program that the Bobcats are building, and going up against Calhoun and the Jackets. The Jackets doing really well in the polls on the boys' side, and we'll see how it boys and girls, Calhoun and Gilmer, 5:30 and 7:30 on the network tomorrow. Then that sets everything up for Saturday and Atlanta United and Philadelphia. And then on Sunday, it's the Twos in Athens hosting Huntsville City. We'll have that one for you on the network as well. Kickoff a little after 7 o'clock, pregame at 6:30. Maddie and Jason will be in Athens for that one. I will be in the Atlanta studio coming back from here to let you know what else is going on around MLS Next Pro, and we will break all of that down for you. So it's a busy week/weekend for all of us here on the network, and so it's always going to be fun to look at how things are continuing to grow and evolve here on the network. So let me go over some of the other stuff that you might have missed. And once again, the teams in the Premier League, I got some work to do. Chelsea, so 3-0 Real Madrid over Manchester City yesterday. Didn't even seem that close. And so 5-2, Chelsea blown out by PSG. Barcola, Dembele, Vitinha, and Kvaratskhelia, they all scored. And so Chelsea, once again, losing 5-2. Arsenal, a draw 1-1 with Bayer Leverkusen. And so Bodo Glimt then takes care of business with Sporting Lisbon, 3-0 north of the Arctic Circle. And so that they were on a plus side favorite. I couldn't have messed that one up, I don't think. So Bodo Glimt ended up as a favorite, but they were both on the plus side. You would have made some juice boxes if you'd gone with Bodo Glimt yesterday. So Bodo Glimt winning in their first leg by plenty. They're up by 3. Arsenal drawn with Bayer Leverkusen. Chelsea down 3 to PSG. Manchester City down 3 to Real Madrid. So it's not looking good for the teams in the Premier League as they roll into legs number 2. Sorry. It's like Poets Laureate. So legs number 2 heading into the reverse side of things next week. We did not get to mention this. Orlando City, the purple team has made a change. Oscar Pareja and they have mutually agreed to part ways. This happened after the show yesterday, middle of the afternoon. If you only wanted to give Oscar Pareja 3 matches, then why did you start the season with it? And if you go back to the beginning of media days and such, we ran the tape, and we still have the tape of Oscar Pareja not happy at media day about what had not been done in the offseason to help reinforce the roster the way that Oscar would have liked. honestly, I had thought that, and we talked about this earlier in the week, that Oscar Pereja, I thought that he might have just been dismissed and would have been told not to even get on the plane after losing 5-0 to NYC. Another topic that we'll get into with Niko Moreno coming up at 10:30. So Pereja is out. And right now, assistant coach Martin Perelman is going to take over on an interim, and we'll see what happens with the purple team. But Oscar Pereja out, and he has not been happy all season long, and it reinforced itself with what happened in the front office. Front office decides to dismiss Oscar Pereja after 3 matches here in the 2026 season. Alphonso Davies, a hamstring injury in Bayern's win over Atalanta. Luis Angel Malagon is gone for the World Cup. He ruptured his Achilles tendon in the Club America match. And you've got to keep an eye also on Marcel Ruiz for Toluca. So it could be 2 big blows for El Tri. You have Verratti possibly missing Italy's playoff campaign. You have a new consortium for Sheffield Wednesday with David Storch and his son and investor Tom Costin. Keep an eye on that, trying to figure out who the preferred bidder is going to be and whether or not they want to pay the £15 million to Defon Chansiri or start next season with a 15-point deduction. We'll keep an eye on that. Boca Juniors wants to expand the La Bombonera to 80,000, so it would be up to about a third. And so you keep an eye on all of those other newsmakery items, and you can do that by subscribing to the Morning Espresso newsletter, and you can get that going to Soccer Down Here .beehive, BEEHIIV.com. Soccer Down Here .beehive, BEEHIIV.com. You can subscribe to the newsletter there. You get Jason's early thoughts on the day, and you get to find out what's on his mind and kind of take the tour of the planet and get you ready for today, which brings you into here. You can also, when Jason has a voice and is not fighting a cold, you can also listen on your favorite podcatching platforms and also catch it on our YouTube channel. So however you wish to digest the Morning Espresso from our friends at Oglethorpe University, presenting sponsor for that, you can subscribe, get the newsletter, read the newsletter, listen to it, watch it, or do all 3, just to make sure that you don't miss anything. You get all 3 figured out, and you can sit there and go, okay, I like the newsletter. I'm going to read the newsletter. Did I miss anything from how it was intonated? Hey, I'm going to listen to what he had to say. Hey, wait a second. Let me see what his facial expression was, and I'm going to watch it. So you have 3 different versions for the Morning Espresso newsletter and different ways to consume the early part of the day to get you into us, to get you into the rest of the day. You can also go to grady-baby.com, get our Soccer is Just Better in Atlanta line, and it is in the red and the black with the gold embossed lettering, and that helps out middle school soccer programs attached to the Atlanta Public School System. You can get our scarf at the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation store. I've got them. I got plenty. Reach out to me. Give them as gifts. You're helping keep the lights on with the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. They're going to be coming on with us in the next month or so. They have big plans for 27, and we'll get into that with them. But Maddie modeling the Marshall Islands scarf. You can get the rest of the gear in England and have it shipped. You get the scarf from me, and I can ship it, and it'll get to you pretty quick. We've also got, once again, we mentioned Fanatis, we mentioned Grady Baby, we mentioned you can get the Olive and York jersey, I believe, still from our friends at Kaiser Permanente on the front. Go to Olive and York, and that helps out Soccer for Good. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed on the Chant app for 2026, you have to re-up. But that $10 helps out our Soccer for Good campaign in 26 as well. So a lot of different ways that you can consume all the information, a lot of different ways that you can be a part of the conversation every single time out when it comes to everything in the world of soccer here at SDH. And we can't thank all of y'all enough for being a part of everything here as we have continued to grow here in 2026. And it's been really cool to see how things have, in fact, just exploded. And we got y'all to thank, because it's crazy to sit there and think that 10 years, this is our 10th season of doing this, and we have gone to this point and expanded to where we are. And like I said, we couldn't have done it without you. And we are incredibly blessed and grateful that you have come along with this ride with us and have been able to sit there and help grow the game as much as you have. And it's, like I said, it's going to be really cool to see how things continue to grow here, because we're like 90 days away from the World Cup. 90, like 3 months. And we'll catch up with Skate Noftsinger about that. And we'll find out some really cool stuff that Atlanta United has attached to what's going on with all of that. 9:30. And I'm gonna bring in somebody who, and when I get to see her, since she is flying around at like 9,000 miles an hour on a game day, I get to see that she's wearing the gear, and I'm sitting there going, I've got to get that now too, and it's just out of control. Skate Noftsinger, SVP and CBO of Atlanta United, dropping by on a Thursday. See there, look, now you're sporting the gear, Skate. I see it. What's around the neck today?
Well, United We Dream sneak peek with the Dream collab that we've got dropping.
So
It's just a little tease.
yes, and so what you're basically saying is, and I don't have my wallet here handy, but the Amex is going to be smoking. Is that what you're telling me?
I'd say between this and the what is it 96-26 collection that launched, was that 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Or the jackets and the t-shirts and the hats that dropped, between that and between this one, it's pretty fire.
Yes. So since you mentioned that, let's get into 96-26 here for a second. And yes, proper hydration for guests. Yes, that is always important.
It's hot chocolate. If I drink coffee, I'm way too.
Well, and you see how I'm here with the So I got mine. 96-26. Full disclosure, I stood in line at the last game day, and there was a line of folks before you, just as the gates open. There's a line of folks at the team store at Mercedes-Benz trying to get the 96-26 gear, and specifically the quarter zip.
Yeah.
I have not seen a vibe or a rush for a line of clothing like this. I mean, what Atlanta United has done when it comes to all of the clothing and the merchandising and marketing, fantastic. And trust me, I should have my own closet with just Atlanta United stuff. The 96-26 rush really seems to have hit a note on a lot of different levels. What has it been like for you and everyone there in the front office to see, from genesis of an idea to the demand, which is hard to keep up with at this point? What has it been like to see the 96-26 get to where it is when it comes to demand and everything?
Right. Well, I think, to me, the most, special part, or the part that brings us the most joy from a front office perspective, is, in a sense, we didn't have anything to do with 1996. We were kids that were inspired by seeing a Dominique Dawes, or, by watching the events. Like, that was, we were, most of the folks around here some weren't even born yet. And others of us, those are the moments that really kind of changed our lives. And so to be, in Atlanta now, 30 years later, and to be able to celebrate that moment, that's an iconic moment for the city of Atlanta that, changed its trajectory for the next 30 years. And now to be able to play a part, bringing back Atlanta on the world stage with the World Cup this summer. I hope that all of us, you, me, anybody else that's just, playing a part in this, that, 30 years from now, somebody's going to look back and celebrate this year the way that we're celebrating 96. Because it's those moments, those big moments of inspiration that really drive us all forward. And in a time when life is pretty hard, whether it's on the field or just in the world, being able to lean into those moments of inspiration, that's what we have to do to propel ourselves forward, and to find the joy every day. And so the spirit of 96, when we knew we were onto something with the jersey, and the team came up with an idea of the throwback, kind of collection to accent it. And I remember when I saw it, I was like down to, there's a kid's onesie, like a little kid onesie that I saw. And I just said, every single piece in this collection is first class. And actually, I was looking at my phone. I had a text on match day where I walked by the team store and I saw that line snaked back and forth. And I was like, how do we get more people into the store? And they're like, Skate, we can't. It's packed. Mm-hmm. And they're like, and we're already out of the jacket. Mm-hmm. Which I think, for us, could we look at another time to try to, are we able to resupply on that jacket? I know that those conversations are happening, because if it's something that, brings a fan joy, you want to try to be able to fulfill that. So it's been a pretty awesome thing to see. But I think when we've talked about internally, how do we go out and kind of reintroduce ourselves to the city of Atlanta, because things haven't been easy the last couple of years. They haven't been.
Right.
And so that reintroduction and being able to do it in such an authentic way, to see the excitement on people's faces that goes well beyond, your on field and what's happening there. It's why you do what you do. Now, don't get me wrong. Would I like to see more wins than jackets? Absolutely. So right there with you.
How far back were the thoughts of the 96-26 line? How far back a discussion was it to sit there and say, yeah, let's do this? And you go from the genesis of the idea to the development to the release. How far back a process are we talking here?
Right. So I was with the club 2015 to, the start of 2020. And I know that, the late 2019 timeframe, we were trying to figure out when would the right point be to celebrate, 1996, because we knew that was an iconic moment. But when will that also align with the club? And as, there was World Cup stuff going on then. And I remember it being on the radar in 2019, 2020. And so, you really started that creation process with Adidas, the end of 2023, the start of 2024. So that's been in the works for a long time. And, people think you can snap your fingers or, just take a month or two and create a jersey. But when you really need to put all the thought in, there's so many different details that go into it. The process does take a very, very long time. So it's been in the works for quite a few years.
Yeah, and that was why I was asking, because it's not just something where you snap your fingers and you sit there and go, okay, yeah, that'll work. And,
Right.
nothing, obviously
Right.
your first thought might be your best thought, but the development of the whole thing, you got to sit there and say, yes, this works. This accent works here. This works here. And this works here. But yeah, that's why I was curious as to how far back the whole development process was, to where everything just hit every note correctly and that everyone on all ends were satisfied with the end results.
Right. It was getting the cream right on the jersey. It was getting the little details within the, the ribbon. It was getting all of those little details, took some fine tuning. But the jacket too, that quarter zip, and I actually think the 96-26 t-shirt and hat are, they almost got overshadowed by the quarter zip, but they're fire too. A funny story around here. I thought that the quarter zip jacket launched on it was a Tuesday, and I wore it. And then somebody's like, Skate, look at you wearing something that hasn't launched yet. And I was, oops. And then, so I thought it launched the next day. And maybe I need to turn my listening ears on a little bit better. And they're like, Skate, it still hasn't launched yet. So I literally wore it every day. And today is the first day I haven't worn it.
But then you bust out the scarf, which we'll talk about at the end of things, because we gotta get into that, as we go. You mentioned a lot of stuff going on where you're trying to be in touch with the season ticket holders and the founding members and things like that. There's some really cool stuff going on where match 18 for season ticket holders, there was a recent note on that, which I thought was a nice addition to make a particular match number 18 when it comes to the season ticket holders. I thought this was cool too.
Right. So match 18 is coming up for the U.S. men's national team versus Belgium. Part of it, when we looked at, had that vision of Atlanta becoming the epicenter of soccer in North America back, 2014, 2015 timeframe. And here we are in a World Cup year, and there's not a city in North America with more soccer than Atlanta. And you've got, we've welcomed the U.S. Soccer Federation. It's the first time they've had their soccer side and front office side together under one roof. Now that opens in, I think, May, but, the fact that they're out here and this is now their home too, it was all right. Let's go out on a limb here and really weave everything together, because at the end of the day, when a country plays, this is the only sport in the world that when a country plays, you literally put down your club feelings and you cheer for whatever country it is that, where you're from or who you love. And so, to be able to lean in, we know that the U.S. national team, for the group play is out on the West Coast. So we started the conversations a while back with U.S. Soccer saying, hey, how could we do this? How could we actually bring that excitement of the U.S. national team, welcome them here to Atlanta, but we're also sending them off into the World Cup. So it's a welcome and send off at the same time. So with the Belgium match, And that being the 18th match, I think it was a pleasant surprise, and it was something different for our season ticket holders. And I think it just goes to show that, just because you've done things the same way for so long doesn't mean you should always do them that way, and continuing to think and listen to what makes people tick. It's good to surprise people.
When you have an idea like this, I mean, is it something that literally hits you maybe in the middle of the night sometimes, or is it something that's an evolving process and something kind of hits you and it's like, oh, that's a good idea, you put a bookmark in it and put it to the side? When you have brainstorms, do they mainly happen for you when you least expect it, or does it come and happen organically during a work day where you're sitting there and it's like, oh yeah, that's an idea, and you put a bookmark in it? When do brainstorms happen for you most?
When do brainstorms happen? I think brainstorms happen as much as I will say brainstorms used to happen probably a lot more often. I have a very young child, so there's a whole lot of Frozen and a whole lot of other things going on at home now. Needless to say, though, ideas pop in your head all the time, and whether it's whiteboards or sticky notes, or if you saw the piles of paper where I just jot things down, and we really encourage everybody around here to do that as well too. And we actually go through, when fans are sending in emails, and there's inbound stuff to our service team, they are generally printing them out, and we ask them to bring in and, hey, read out something that might, could be a good idea. And again, you may have 100 ideas and one actually sticks. But I actually remember when the Belgium one happened, we were chatting with US Soccer just about, and again, this happened a while ago. So we're talking about them getting settled here, the movement of folks from one place to the other. And we were talking about the send off for the World Cup. It just kind of popped in my head, and I knew what they were trying to, we're trying to get a game here in Atlanta. And it was like, wait a minute, why don't we try to do something together? And I think at first people looked at me like, that'll never work. We can't figure that out. And we did. And so, couldn't be more exciting. Like I said, just because either something has always been done doesn't mean you should always do it. And so if something hasn't been done, doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. It's just, look into it. And like I said, there could be 100 ideas, and only one sticks, but you go after that one. So we got them everywhere. Like, it's crazy around here. Crazy.
Well, I mean, you mentioned that it's the old Gretzky adage. It's what is it? 100% of the shots you don't take don't go in.
Right.
And you have that kind of an idea, and once again you see how it develops, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the response is going to be and what the crowd's going to be like for these matchups coming up here at the end of the month, including that. But beyond that, it's still crazy to think that we are 90 days ish away from the world coming to this hemisphere and coming to Atlanta and seeing all of these matches and being a part of this thing, this cup that the world is chasing. And something else that's really cool involving founding members that I thought was a nice addition to all of this thought process too. They got to check their inbox on something, which I thought was really cool too.
You just surprised me with that. I rolled out yesterday. So one of the things we've heard loud and clear from our fans and the people of Atlanta is they all want the opportunity to try to go and see a World Cup match at Mercedes-Benz Stadium or Atlanta Stadium during the World Cup. And unfortunately, it's not something, even though it's our building, you don't control that. It's FIFA driven, and we were very patient, had lots of dialogue, lots of conversation. And, sometimes it's like the tortoise and the hare. If we had sprinted to try to get something done, we probably wouldn't, but it was slow and steady conversation and dialogue. And then it just happened very, very quickly where we were able to secure, a set number of tickets and went out to our founding members. And I wish we could have had like a camera pop in to see people's reaction, because there had been nothing. Because we were very clear of like, we don't know what we can do. We don't think we can do anything. And it's better to set that bar there and then be able to surprise people than promise it and not be able to deliver. And, to get that, even me as a founding member, I'm still a founding member. I even checked my own email. I actually texted our ticket person last night at like 5:30. I said, has the email gone out? I haven't seen it yet, because I want to do it. But we were able to send it out to all the founding members, where they were able to, we're taking, their inquiries, and you have to fill out a form to try to figure out how we can try to get some inventory moved around in order to meet those requests. And it's not like we have an unlimited supply by any means, but the fact we were able to essentially have our own lottery for our founding members is around the World Cup, and to give them the opportunity to come in because it's not easy to, I don't know if you've gotten in one of the other FIFA lotteries. I haven't. It's not easy. So the fact that we were able to do that and we listened and we knew that was the moment that I heard, hey, we might have an opportunity to do X, Y, and Z. I said, we're going to go get as many as we can. I don't care how much we got to put up on the table to do this. We got to make sure that our people have the opportunity to get them. And they're like, you sure they're going to go? I go, they'll go. Like, they're going to go. So that rolled out yesterday, and you got to turn in your form by, I think it's Monday. But you got to complete it. And if you miss the deadline, you miss the deadline. But I couldn't be more excited that we do have a pretty good allotment to try to take care of those founding members that have interest in going to matches.
Someone actually came to you and said, do you think this is going to go? They were like, they raised their eyebrow that I don't know if this is going to go.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's a big number that you take on from a liability perspective, and so it's a lot to sit on. And I said, hey, look, we've got people that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Last time the World Cup was here, the men's World Cup was in the US. People still talk about that moment and the fact that we've got it here in Atlanta, and 10 years ago, and nobody thought we'd be where we are today. And here we are, the epicenter of soccer in North America. It would be like almost a disservice to the people of Atlanta that helped build this and helped even put Atlanta on the map to have the World Cup here, to not be able to get them the opportunity I would have been deflated myself. So yes, I think once everybody got through the fear of, oh my gosh, look at all the liability we're taking on, it was, hey, we're doing the right thing and we'll be okay.
You mentioned doing the right thing. And this is one of the other things I wanted to discuss with you this morning is right now you've cleared a magic number of 50 when it comes to the pitches that are being ID'd and funded for the legacy project here with Atlanta United as you're trying to get to 100, but you're at 52 now that have been ID'd and cleared. What's it like to pass that kind of a milestone? And it's not just something that is within the perimeter of Atlanta. It is you're out, you're like in Irwin County, and you're out and really making this outreach. What's it like to clear 50? And not just clear 50 inside Atlanta proper, but really make that reach in the state of Georgia that you were looking to off the top.
Right. So before I answer that question, you got to think back to when, the idea and concept of GA 100 really started, 2017, 2018.
Right.
And it was this idea of how can we make soccer more accessible, inclusive, and transformative for communities across Georgia. And it's not just build a pitch and hope people show up. It's you need to find the right partners and build pitches in the right places so that then they can be programmed regularly. But whether it's youth, adults, et cetera, can get to those pitches, they've got to be in a place that people can get to. And so when it launched in 2020, you had this big audacious goal of doing 100 pitches across the state of Georgia. And again, like what you said, it's not just about the city of Atlanta. It's about the whole state of Georgia. And to be able to reach 52, and it's nice that it's not actually 50, that it's 52, because you're like, all right, we've kind of gotten to the peak, and now you gotta finish the mountain here. And so we know that we've still got a ways to go, but knowing that I think it's around $4.8 million that's been invested into these pitches across Georgia, and right now there's 12 that are in development across the state. It's more important than ever. For the growth of soccer. It's not, soccer isn't just played in our stadium on match day or at our training ground. It needs to be played anywhere and everywhere, because anytime somebody gets that little tiny ball and you forget about what's happening in your everyday life, your life can change. And whether you're watching some kid find joy or an adult find joy in playing, or you're the person out there playing themselves, it has a positive impact on people's lives. And so the GA 100 program really is our way of leaning into the community and making sure that the entire ecosystem is impacted by the game.
And this year alone, the new $1+ million, it's like I said, it's not just Atlanta. It is Cedartown. Right. It is Rome and Somerville with help from your friends at Atrium. It is Gwinnett County. Obviously, we know Gwinnett County is one of the largest, fastest growing counties in the country. Stateville, right, which puts you in Valdosta, which is South Georgia. That is Region 1, yep. 6A. That is a growing footprint right there in Valdosta, because if you're introducing through GA 100, you're getting to introduce that to the Wintersville Classic. And we talked about that with the 4 high school coaches that were down there a couple weeks ago on our midweek show. Right. We talked to the boys and girls coaches for both Valdosta and Lowndes. And so we know what it means on American football. It's getting to that point now when it comes to soccer, and now you get to add that component with part of the GA 100 project. It's Tequila and Duluth, and it's Lawrenceville, and I mean, we've seen all the other places. For me, as someone who has seen the American football version and knows the the smaller towns in the state of Georgia, to see Atlanta United make that same kind of outreach, for me, it hits a special note because I know what sports mean in those smaller towns. And for Atlanta United to jump in on something like that, I just think that adds to a cool factor to a lot of this and the growth of the game that you're talking about with legacy projects.
Yeah, no, good to hear. And I think I wish we could build 100 right away. And I wish we could, suddenly hit 100 in the next year. But finding the right partners, again, that will lean in and program them. So again, it's not just a pitch that's collecting dust. You want to have kids playing on there, and you want them to be accessible. I'd like to say 24 hours a day. That's probably not realistic, but if you can have them program, even 12 hours a day, that would be ideal, because we know the power of sport, whether you're in a small town or in an urban area, it does have the power to change your life. And being able to play a very, very small part in someone's life. Having Arthur Blank behind us and really being he was the guy that had the vision back in the day. And we're so lucky that he has the resources, and he has the commitment, and he has the values of giving back. So, we're in a very lucky position. There's no other, club in MLS that's ever gone out and done something this big and bold. And so hopefully in a couple of years, we'll be sitting down chatting with you when we hit 100.
Hey, look, you can chat with me anytime. You hit a number, you hit 53. You can come in. You got the garage door opener and the key. Where the key is under the mat. You can come in anytime. One more thing, because I know that you're like incredibly busy, and trying to catch you at times is like trying to grab a comet by the tail and hang on. And I can't thank you enough for. I mean, look, it's like trying to catch water through an open hand or grab a comet by the tail. That's just, I know.
Comet by the tail. That's a new one. I'm going to use that today. I'm going to try to use that at least once today.
Go for it. That is yours. The other thing is that scarf around your neck. And since you flashed it from the beginning, and we have seen on social media that there are two franchises that might be coming together in a collab, as the kids say. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it is 7 minutes from now? Is that correct? Is that
7 minutes from now? If we're both good at mathing, I think it's 7 minutes from now. It's 10 a.m. today. It should drop. The United We Dream collab, that's a crossover with us and Atlanta Dream. And while it's launching during Women's History Month, the collab is really showcases our commitment to elevating women, giving visibility to women, and giving opportunity to women year round. And so this isn't something, it just happens to be launching during Women's History Month, but we'll continue to celebrate and move the needle forward throughout the year. But there's a number of again, I don't know what water they were drinking between this and the Spirit of 96 collection, and then what is it, 96-26 collection? It's another one. So you'll earn some airline miles or whatever points it is on a credit card. But those things will drop, and then there's a ticket pack that goes alongside of it as well that comes with a Women Making Impact panel that's before the match on Saturday. Where you've got some female leaders from around the city, the Dream, Atlanta United, as well as the city, leaning in and doing a Q&A with some folks prior to the match. So to be able to do it with the Dream, it's a fun place to go see a game too. I've been a few times. I've taken my daughter. It's a fun atmosphere as well. But to be able to lean in and do something special with them, hopefully it's the first of many.
No doubt. And so keep an eye out on your socials. If you have not subscribed or hit the like buttons and things like that, make sure that you set your notifications in 6 minutes, because I think you and I can math up to 6.
6. Yeah, higher than that's hard.
6. Yeah. And so
we did 52 though. We said 52. I don't know how we got there, but we did 52.
Strong. I love it. So please know that anytime that you want to come on and talk about things and update things, we've had you on in the past. We've done remotes with you in the past with me and Jason and things like that. But if there's anything that you think folks need to know about, just literally just hit the bat signal, and you can come in and crash at any time. We can talk about everything. And I can't thank you enough, because I know that you're like hyper busy, and to come in on a day like this to talk about everything and tease a collab coming up with the Dream. It's fantastic. Skate, I can't thank you enough. It's always great to see you, and now it's great to see you and talk to you and catch everybody up on stuff. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me, and thank you for doing the work that you do too. So if there's anything we can ever do for you guys,
you got it. Okay. We'll do. Be good, Skate. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
There she goes, SVP and Chief Business Officer of Atlanta United, Skate Noftsinger. And great to be able to catch up with her and find out what's going on in and around the planet when it comes to everything Atlanta United. So to recap, in 20 minutes, we got to talk about the GA 100 project hitting 52. And we mentioned that new grouping that is attached to anything and everything that is there. So the most recent round of the Atlanta United Community Fund and the latest grant recipients, and that you can go to the AUCF, the Atlanta United, the Grant Foundation. You go to Atlanta United's website for more on the AUCF fund. AtlantaUnited.com. Here, let me do this. I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to enter the chat, and then it gives me a chance to say hi to everybody before 10 o'clock, Abby. 10 o'clock in like 4 minutes. 4 minutes is when this collab comes, so be ready. So for anyone that you know in and around the state that might be interested in the project and applying for grants, there you go. ATLUTD.com/GA100. Go there because, I mean, this is cool for, and like I was telling Skate, this is cool for me because when they get to go out into the state of Georgia, and like I said, not just Atlanta proper, not just, ITP, OTP, but when they get to go to Rome, when they get to go to Somerville, when they get to go to Valdosta or Statenville, suburban Valdosta, when you're going to Irwin County to see those kinds of things. Like I said, I know what it means to go on a football Friday night. Through SDH, I'm getting to see when it means something on an FUTBOL Friday night. And so for me to be able to see it from one sport and see it apply to another and have Atlanta United be the activator for that. For me, it's really cool because, like I said, I've known what it means in these small towns, what it means to roll up on a high school football Friday night. I know what it means. Sidewalks roll up. Last person closes their business at 5:30. Everybody goes to tailgate, 7:30 kickoff, and you're off and running. When you get to add soccer to this mix and introduce it to what's going on through the GA 100 project, I've always thought that this was a really cool initiative. And so if you know anybody in and around the state of Georgia that is, that could really use it, ATLUTD.com/GA100. And if there is anyone that wants to know, we will give heads ups to soccer coaches, and we're trying to get them in like Calhoun and other places like that. If there's a soccer coach that wants to know about these kinds of things, we'll help you through it. Bottom line, we will help you through it. They want to construct 100 mini pitches, and they're now at number 52 that have been cleared and ID'd. So 52 areas have been cleared and ID'd on their way to 100 for the GA 100 project. So we talk about legacies. You've got everything going on with the World Cup coming in like 3 months. The U.S. soccer headquarters, the Arthur M. Blank National Training Center, is in the Southern Crescent. All of the teams that are practicing there, all the teams that are warming up there, all the teams that are getting in their reps are there. Like Trillith, man. It is there. You got the 2 friendlies coming up at the end of the month. You have all of the activity going on with the World Cup here at Atlanta Stadium. Sure. Then you have, after that, you're probably going to have Copa America again at some point. You've got the Women's World Cup in South America for 27. You've got the Women's World Cup coming up in 31, which is going to be here. Do not be surprised if you see a deep enough presence by Atlanta Stadium in 2031 as you are in 2026. It would make sense to me for it to be a little deeper. And we know that place will sell out. But to see all of this stuff, for me, it's really cool to see Atlanta United, be a part of that footprint and be attached to all that stuff. And so what we will do is we will. Oh, it's actually 10 o'clock now. So is it out yet? Is it out yet? Is the collab out? We got to figure that out. So yes, I bought the sweatshirt, the quarter zip, and I'm probably going to end up going and circling back and getting the T-shirt. The boss has already started. She's already laid the claim to it. We've washed them in delicate, and you know that I'll probably be wearing them at Mercedes-Benz Stadium a lot. The jersey is ridiculous, and getting all of the right tones and the right notes. That to me is the bigger thing as a part of all of this. So that is kind of what we're staring at here. So there's a lot to get into where Atlanta United is concerned and how they're being the steward in the community that they are. Very, very cool. All right, so hang on just a second. Let me check the Twitters before our buddy Nino Torres joins us here coming up in a sec, and we find out what's on Nino Damas's mind. So ATLUTD. So here we go. Atlanta United. I'm following Atlanta United. Is it up? All right, so the PSA is up as of a minute ago. And so your promo is up, it's playing, and the United We Dream line is out. Yeah, the T-shirt's pretty strong. And you have the crossover with all of the gear. And yeah, so it is up. The promo is out. And I'm watching it right now as they are playing both hoops and football. And they're wearing all of the stuff. And so, yeah, the boss is probably going to take full part in it. Yeah, the United We Dream stuff is out and running, and my wallet is in trouble. So there you go. Yeah, the United We Dream is out. It is out. Officially out. At least it is. Now we just have to figure out where can we get it. So can we get it at? So if we go Fanatics, or it might be like Atlanta Dream or something like that. So Atlanta United. So is the Atlanta United material? Yes. Okay. And the United We Dream stuff is out. You have the T-shirt, the sweatshirt, and the mesh T-shirt. Those are out on Fanatics right now. So, me, I'm probably going to end up getting the T-shirt and the scarf, and the boss will end up wearing it. So, yes, the scarves we got to keep an eye on. But, yes, the stuff is out. David, it'll be good to see you in Macon tonight. Just be careful. So that's your rundown. So good morning, Ricky. Morning, David. Morning, Abby. And good morning to all of you who are hanging out with us this morning. And so David is getting ready for St. Pius and their activity later tonight. So that is the conversation that we got to have with Sarah Kate Noftsinger, the SVP and Chief Business Officer for Atlanta United. It was great to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on that. And I can't thank her, and I can't thank Chris Winkler and Communications enough for helping that roll down and be a part of all of that conversation. No, it's not. And it is not cheap. It is not. Valverde just scored again. No, it is not. No, but that is kind of how it's the fabrics that we see these days. T-shirts usually are in the neighborhood. The thicker the T-shirt, you're getting into the 35, 40, 45, 50, and so on. So that is definitely going to be the higher end material that you're going to be seeing. And so I'm also going to be keeping an eye out for the scarf. And I will not be at Mercedes-Benz this weekend, but in coming weeks, I'm probably going to be getting the United We Dream stuff, and that will be added to the wardrobe, and the boss will wear it, and she'll wear it proudly, and it will be definitely added as we go. So that's hour number one. And so in hour number one, we got to catch everybody up on everything Atlanta United and what's going on off the pitch and on. And it is one of those. What is goodness gracious is this? Nation. Okay, so if anybody knows binary, then go to the CONCACAF Nations League Twitter. They have posted a lot of binary numbers, and I have forgotten how my binary works. So if anybody can translate binary, that would be great. Okay. So it has been translated, and thank you to Red in DC. The dream begins again in September. In ASCII coding, Nations League is promoting themselves by talking in binary code. Quick note on Cincinnati from our friend Laurel Failer. Per reports from Monterrey, Mexico, Tigres was ready to board its flight to Cincinnati today at 12:30, unable to because of airport difficulties caused by the president's visit to the city. They will leave at 10 a.m. this morning for their Champions Cup match with Cincinnati kicking off at 8. Okay. So keep an eye on your juice boxes on that one. Keep an eye on your juice boxes on that one. And we will, yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on that one. Definitely keep an eye on that one. So we'll see if the numbers flip and or switch in any manner, way, shape, or form. But as of right now, Tigres is flying in the day of. They are flying in the day of to take on FC Cincinnati. Once again, your update. Laurel Failer said that they were starting. They wanted to leave 12:30, 11 hours ago. From Monterrey, Mexico, Tigres was ready to board its flight to Cincinnati today at 12:30, unable to because of airport difficulties caused by the president's visit to the city. They will leave at 10 o'clock tomorrow. So, in theory, 7 minutes ago, they were set to leave Monterrey, Mexico for the Champions Cup match with FC Cincinnati kicking off at 8. So, keep an eye on that matchup. Jeez. And so now the press release is out for the United We Dream. Limited collection, 3 thoughtfully designed pieces through round 21. And so Skate is quoted, and she mentions basically the Women's History Month, important to celebrate the impact of women, the commitment to creating opportunity and visibility extending far beyond a single month. United We Dream represents that year-round commitment, inviting Atlantans and sports fans everywhere to join us in it. And then a quote from Morgan Shaw Parker, COO of the Dream. Collaboration with Atlanta United in round 21 about more than apparel, about visibility, alignment, and continuing to push the game forward together. United We Dream represents what's possible when organizations come together with shared values and a shared commitment to equity, end quote. So it's going to launch 8 minutes ago, and it's going to be at Team Stores, Atlantic Station, and Mercedes-Benz, as well as online, MLS Store, and ATL Dream Shop. So that is the rundown of the United We Dream collection. You have been summarily warned. Apparently, and this is from Offside and our friends at One Football, we had talked about this a little bit in the rumor section. Messi and friends are opening talks with Bernardo Silva, and Benfica is also in line, according to Glorioso 1904. Expected to begin talks soon. Any offer could be in line with his current salary in England, which we had said was 7 or 8 million euro. Only a few months from the end of his contract, Benfica and Juve are also interested. Valued at 27 million euro, 39 appearances, 29 Premier League, 7 Champions League, 1 FA Cup, 2 in league, at 2,852 minutes, 2 goals, and 5 assists. So that is Bernardo Silva being looked at by Messi and friends. Now, let's get you into gossip and rumor and innuendo. Once again, our buddy Niko Moreno joining us, bottom of the hour. So getting into all of that particular gossip with Valverde getting the hat trick. If you missed it yesterday, Valverde's hat trick was part of the win over Manchester City. NWSL is back this weekend. We'll be catching up with Jen Hildreth, I think, next week, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, 2 weeks, because she is in tournament play for women's hoops. So she is locked in. So we're catching up with her in 2 weeks when it comes to all of the activity going on in the NWSL and in the women's basketball tournament. Arsenal considering an offer to sign Tino Livramento this summer, according to the Telegraph. This has been a continuing storyline. Manchester City is also interested. Now Arsenal is. Livramento has the contract till 28, claimed that talks over an extension have been shelved. Newcastle want the England international to stay. Arsenal are keen. Manchester City linked with a move to cost around £60 million. Serious possibility that Christian Romero could leave Spurs in the coming months, according to Fabrizio Romano. Number of top clubs have reportedly been calling about a transfer. Uncertainty continues over his long-term future, especially with them in a relegation battle. Argentina World Cup winner, under contract through 29, mind you. But remember, once again, the exit could raise some funds, which is what they're really needing. Arsenal have held initial talks with RB Leipzig over a possible deal for defender Castello Luqueba, according to L'Equipe. Reports suggest the Gunners are one of several teams looking at the France center back Bayern Munich, also in the picture. Under contract through 29, Bundesliga club has him valued at €60 million. Juve, AC Milan have joined a number of clubs in the race for Robert Lewandowski, according to Calcio Mercato, set to become a free agent this summer at the age of 37. 115 goals plus 23 for the Blaugrana in 181 appearances since joining from Bayern Munich. No sign of a renewal in sight. Teams are circling. Bayern Munich keen to hang on to Michael Olise this summer, despite reports linking him to a transfer to Liverpool, according to Fabrizio Romano. And Bayern Munich are downplaying the exit. Liverpool likely to push for a winger. Olise may not be available. Joined Bayern in 24, and he has 15 plus 26 in all comps. Manchester United stepping up their interest in Mateus Fernandes from West Ham. Transfer would cost around £60 million, according to Ekrem Konur. Joshua Zirkzee eyeing a possible exit from United in the summer window. Clubs in the Serie A are interested. Three-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Liverpool have added Real Madrid defender Dean Huijsen to their shortlist, having missed out on signing him last summer when he was at Bournemouth. Once again, Konur. West Ham want to make their loan move for Axel Disasi permanent from Chelsea in the summer if they stay in the Premier League. Four-letter paper. Stuttgart youngster Finn Jeltsch is attracting interest from Arsenal, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich. Arsenal preparing offers for Leon Goretzka from Bayern and Dortmund's Julian Brandt, with the midfield pair set to become free agents at the end of the season. Spurs keen on signing Andy Robertson as a free if he leaves Liverpool, having missed out on him landing in January. Of course, all of that depends on whether or not they're still in the Premier League. Juve want to sign Marco Senesi as a free agent from Bournemouth this summer. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. And Napoli are set to enter talks with Scott McTominay's agent over a new contract. Just make sure that tomatoes are all involved, because having real tomatoes, if you ask Scott McTominay, having real tomatoes as a part of his food resurgence has been a part of his resurgence, believe it or not. That has been the crazy part in all of this. It's like, yeah, man, look, fresh tomatoes to me, eating a real tomato, that has been the absolute difference, or a difference. So we'll see, but I'm not too sure that that somebody is going to want to leave Napoli. So I'm sure that McTominay, he's going to end up signing a new deal, and I think that he'll be there for a while. News out of Foxborough, since we were discussing the cup that the world is chasing after. Anthony Oliveri from the Four-Letter. Foxborough, the Kraft Group, and the host committee have agreed to terms that will allow for the approval of the license. Remember, there was an $8 million discrepancy that the city was like, nope, we're not doing it. We're not paying it. And so that turned into a staring contest. You figured it was eventually going to be done. I had the feeling that the Crafts were going to be in this discussion gradually. But you now have this license that is now the funding has been put forth for the license. And so now everything is going to go as planned in a perfect world in Foxborough. Town refused to spend taxpayer money on a promise that it would be reimbursed by federal funds that have been delayed. And this is 9 figures worth of federal funds that have been delayed to all of the venues and everyone who is going to be active in this tournament in 3 months' time. Joint statement by the town, the host committee, and a company headed by Robert Kraft. All parties, quote, have reached an understanding collectively that will allow the town host committee to iron out details of the agreement. That leads to FIFA's license approval at the Foxborough's select meeting on March 17, which had been set as the final deadline 5 days from now. So the statement reads that the town of Foxborough will not incur any cost or financial burden related to the FIFA World Cup, with Boston Soccer 26 providing advanced funding for security-related capital expenditures and the full extent of deployment that public safety officials have determined is needed to execute the event with Craft Sports and Entertainment's backing. And then statement thanked several folks, including the governor of the state of Massachusetts. Once again, Foxborough was like, no, we're not. The shortfall is here, and until the money's in, we're not budgeting, we're not paying for it. And so 5 days to go before this meeting, which was the final deadline set forth by the city, looks like everything's going to be squared away. Host committee lawyer Gary Ronan, quote, if you don't get paid, you can terminate the license. The next soccer game doesn't happen, end quote. Board members immediately challenged the host committee over the purchase of security materials and a deadline for them to be in place. March 6th, board chair Bill Yukna released a statement making clear no agreement had been reached. And then board emailed a second statement on the 6th to the 4 letters saying it was shocked and dismayed about statements made to the media by the Kraft Group and other event organizers suggesting an agreement with the town was reached. That was back on the 6th. So basically a week ago, they were like, no, there's been no agreement reached. And then you have the Kraft Group coming out with other statements, town manager being asked for clarifications. And so you end up March 5, the organizers sending a letter to the town that committed to paying public safety costs 2 business days after receiving an invoice. Also said that the host committee had $2 million in an account expected to receive at least $30 million more. Craft Sports and Entertainment offered to backstop the funding if needed, according to written documentation. And so their first game is supposed to be Scotland and Haiti on June 13. And so that looks like those stumbling blocks have all been cleared, and you're getting everything there in Foxborough that was supposed to be in Foxborough. And so obviously keep an eye out for all of that once again going forward. And so that city and all of those conversations, those have gone by the wayside, and it looks like everything in Foxborough is going to be in Foxborough. So there you go. Also, no, I'm not trying to get to that. Fine. All right. So checking to see what else this morning. Oh, yes, because we had mentioned Spurs. I want to go here and have a couple of conversations. So Spurs, we've mentioned that Igor Tudor is set to deliver the press conference on Friday morning, our time. And it's the preparations for Liverpool. So as of right now, he is set to give that press conference. And now you got a couple of different things that have come forward. One of them involving Harry. And yes, that Harry, Redknapp. He has revealed that Daniel Levy would have brought him back to the club rather than appointing Igor Tudor. I'll read the story, and we'll circle back to the top. So once again, we went through where they are in the relegation fight right now. So in a conversation with TalkSport, Harry Redknapp was asked if he would have returned to the club that he managed from 08 to 12. Quote, I got a phone call last week from Daniel, funnily enough. I think I spoke to him once since I left all that time ago, and I was in the car last week, and suddenly the phone goes, it's Daniel Levy. And he did say to me, if I was there now, and I'm not just saying it, I would bring you back until the end of the season, Harry, so it would have been interesting. I was going to say, so if he was there, he would have brought back Harry Redknapp. Sure. But he's not. Maybe it was just a chance for Daniel Levy to wax poetic for a couple of minutes. Then from there, going to Footmercato. Footmercato.net. And this comes from the London Express. Take the information as you wish. So according to Footmercato, once again, February 14th. So Igor Tudor has only been in there less than a month. 2 days under a month. Took over for Thomas Frank. And now it appears, once again, obviously with the loss to Atletico de Madrid, it was a locker room that is now not his. It has been lost. Terrible humiliation in substituting Anthony Kinski after 17 minutes. This is from Foot Mercato. Earned the Croat head coach widespread criticism from the press. Universally disliked is the words that Foot Mercato is using. 3-letter paper reports that they were shocked by the early substitution, meaning the players, and the brutal treatment he inflicted on Kinski. The dressing room was completely turned against Tudor. And once again, this is the 3-letter paper. Take the information as you wish. Since his arrival, Foot Mercato says he had never truly managed to convince many of his players. Tactical choices already under scrutiny for the players who are not without their own faults. The line was crossed on Tuesday night. Damage is deep-seated. Despite this, Spurs will have to put up with him for a few more days. He is expected to be on the bench this weekend against Liverpool. Story continues. Then there's a very good chance he'll pack his bags, having not even had time to find a house in London. Currently living at Spurs training ground, it'll be a month and 2 days. Probably won't be staying another month. According to the 3-letter paper and the Standard, they're already looking for his successor to find a stopgap manager to secure survival before handing the reins to a new coach in the summer. One name considered, Sean Dyche. 114 days at Nottingham Forest. He's looking for a gig. Evening Standard suggested Mauricio Pochettino. But, that's not going to happen until after the World Cup. Roberto De Zerbi, according to the Telegraph, although all you have to do is look at De Zerbi's tape from how he treated players when he was in Montreal, or he treated players who eventually would play. But if you look at the behind-the-scenes video of Roberto De Zerbi from his time in Ligue 1, that should give you all the information that you need to know about Roberto De Zerbi and how he handles his players. So I don't know if you want to go down the De Zerbi route. Sean Dyche would be a stopgap, and then you would have all of that to go forward with. Legitimately, that's what you're staring at if you're Spurs. That is what you're staring at if you're Spurs. And if you're a Spurs fan right now, I apologize. Our buddy Niko Moreno is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes, and we'll break everything down with him and find out what's going on as he gets ready for MLS on the weekend, match week 4. We got to talk about Champions Cup. We got to talk about Champions Cup. We got to talk about what happened in San Diego last night, and we will break it all down with him. And we will chop it up with Niko coming up in a couple of minutes. Nino, we all know that Nino is leading 98 different lives right now. And the fact that he is back with Fubo TV is huge. And the fact that he gets to make the calls again in the Portuguese league, that's always to be able to check in on him and see what's going on with him in the Portuguese league is the way it always should be. Frankly, that's the way it always should be. But to be able to listen to him as of this past weekend, talking derbies and such, very, very cool that we get to have that back with. And we want to give a shout out to our friends at Fubo TV for understanding the value of having someone like Nino Torres as a part of your broadcast crew. And so, once again, keep an eye out on the Portuguese league. Tell you what, before we send it over to Niko and let you know what's going on there. Let me go and just to give you an idea for those of you that have now become watchers, listeners, and followers of the league because of the conversations that we've had on a weekly basis. So let's just get into the Portuguese league really quickly because of the derbies that were there last week, and let you know what else is going on. So Liga Portugal, and once again, you catch that on Fubo TV with our buddy Nino Torres. This weekend, you had one match postponed, and it's Sporting's match because they're playing in European football. This looks like a week that is fairly safe for the leaders. Looks like it's a week that's got a bunch of margins that are fairly safe. Nacional and Estoril looks like they are the match to keep an eye on Sunday. But right now, Porto, once again, 4 points clear. Everybody on the same page. Porto has only lost once. But the difference is Sporting has drawn 5 times compared to Porto's 3. Benfica is third, 59 points, and then it's a gap to everybody else. Braga right now is in your Conference League spot at 46 points, and then the gap continues to go from there. Santa Clara is in a massive relegation battle. They are the one that's currently down at 22 points, but they have 4 points in their last 3 matches to get into this relegation fight. And it is 6 teams separated by 4 points, 11 through 16. Aruca's at 26. They've lost 3 of 4. Estrela's drawn their last 2. Casapia's drawn their last 2. Rio Ave has won their last one. They have 4 points in 2 matches. Nacional has snapped a 3-game losing streak. They're all above it for the moment. Aruca's at 26. Estrela's at 25. Casapia's at 24, ahead of Rio Ave on goal difference. Nacional's at 22, ahead of Santa Clara by 1 goal in goal difference. And so we have 9 matches to go, and it is Porto ahead by 4 over Sporting and by 7 over Benfica, and the relegation fight is definitely worth keeping an eye on going forward. So very, very cool stuff there. Let me see if there's anything that has gone on in the Twitch pitch this morning. 95 days. That is just crazy. And I've seen the season ticket holder gift, which is insane to me. I mean, that is crazy stuff. Yes. Yeah, I know. And so that was one of the things, Abby, that with the jacket, literally as Skate said, that the store had underestimated demand. And that's why literally you could go in and it was 1 jacket per person. And if they didn't have your size, then literally it was X in a certain size and X in a certain size and X in a certain size. And if they didn't have your size, then you either had to go up or go down. And it was 1 jacket per person. And they were not letting any pre-sale happen. It was literally going to be when the store opened up. I was in line. I got in line 20 minutes early. And I was there for the whole thing. And so it literally reminded me of what we get to see during the holidays when a store opens up at an odd hour, like Black Friday or something. And it was that crazy. Absolutely true. One moment yesterday that we didn't get the chance to talk about yet. Pedro Neto shoving a PSG ball boy over. He apologized for giving a little push, and it was a little bit more than a little push. And PSG players kind of crowded Neto after it happened. He's rushing. Ball boy's kind of holding the ball away, and the ball boy kind of goes down. I'm going to look at it again real quick. So Neto goes over, and he's kind of fighting the ball boy over it. They're kind of grappling a little bit. Neto escaped punishment for shoving a ball boy. Echoes the Eden Hazard incident in 2013. Losing 4-2 in stoppage time, Chelsea, the ball goes out of play. Neto goes to grab another ball being held by a ball boy, refused to hand it over immediately, prompting the forward to push him into an advertising hoarding. Confrontation ensued, broken up by the officials. Ball boy was attended to by medical. Neto escaped punishment as referee Alejandro Hernandez took no action against him for an incident also checked by VAR. Neto revealed he had spoken to the ball boy to apologize and had given the youngster a match shirt. Quoting TNT, with the emotions of the game we were losing, I wanted to pick up the ball. He was carrying the ball with him, gave him a little push, saw that I hurt him straight away because I'm not like this. In the heat of the moment, I went there to apologize. Gave him my shirt as well because that cannot happen. So I'm really, really, really sorry about that. Less than a week after he was charged by the FA and his reaction being sent off in the defeat at Arsenal earlier this month. Red card was the 9th this season in a campaign, according to the Telegraph, plagued by indiscipline. Liam Rosenior said he was asked about Neto's actions added up to another disciplinary issue. Rosenior added, I genuinely haven't seen it. I've been told it was an altercation with a ball boy. You never want to see that. I've been told Pedro has apologized. So Pedro Neto escaping a punishment, escaping anything from VAR. And so it looks like for the moment, things are okay with Pedro Neto. So keep an eye on that from if there's any kind of retroactive punishment one way or the other when it comes to Pedro Neto and what we're staring at from the international way of things. And so I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we might have missed. But yeah, the biggest thing in Major League Soccer is obviously the dismissal of Oscar Pareja, which happened yesterday afternoon. and we probably are going to we're going to effort our buddy Mike Gramajo from Orlando next week to kind of get the post-mortem after match number 1 with the interim and kind of discuss what's going on there. Let me hang on just a second. Let me see if I can find if I still have it in the stacks, because I don't think because I wanted to hang on to it for a specific reason. And knowing me, I probably ended up. No, here it is. Okay. So this is from January 13th. This is from 2 months ago. Media Day with Oscar Pareja. And this is from our buddy Mike Gramajo at West TV at the time. So here's Oscar Pareja at Media Day discussing what his thoughts were heading into the 26th season.
But at the end of February, ready to go. How do you work around that?
Every time you ask me about that, I want to ask this. I want to answer the same. I always want more players and better ones, and probably they want a better coach too. So we always want better and better. The owners and directors are different, probably answer. But every time you ask me for players, what do you want? We want more. But the group is here. We're going to prepare. We are optimistic, and we will make sure that we work hard enough just to accomplish the things.
Considering how the season ended last year, and obviously the expectations you mentioned are going to be there high, do you feel that there is some type of pressure on you to make sure you deliver a winning team, or you deliver those expectations that are expected?
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal. I have been competing since I was 17. I don't remember a year where I don't feel the same sensation. If I don't perform, I should be out, or I will lose my job. It's normal. But I have a job. I'm here with the players, and we're going to work. But that pressure is normal. There is some other times where we achieve more objectives, and people, owners, everybody, players, coaches, we all happier. But this time it's that's, we're tense. Why we don't change this, that. But we are compromised with this group. We are compromised with the club, with the players, and we have energy to push. But the day that we don't have that energy, nobody doesn't need to push me out. I will get out myself.
And he didn't get out himself. Front office decided that yesterday afternoon, that was it for Oscar Pareja. Luis Muzzi has posted to social media. He posted it yesterday and posted a thank you note to Oscar for his time. And that is the early words out of Orlando. But yeah, there was a reason. There was a reason that I hung on to that particular quote and that particular conversation with our friend Mike Gramajo at West TV. And it was somewhat prescient to me that Oscar Pareja was that mad, or I wouldn't necessarily. Well, I'll take mad back, but I will take mad back. But what I will do is say that he wasn't happy with how things had developed to that particular point. And this, like I said, that was 2 months ago at the beginning of training camp. That was media day. And so Oscar was that hot then, and he said he's always looking for more players. And you end up with that conversation 2 months before the season starts. And then you look at defensively, there are issues. I mean, there are issues with there were issues with Orlando defensively. And you bring in 3 U22s, and you look at where things had gone with the roster build, and I'm trying to grab the offseason transaction list. So the 2026 guide is this. Yeah. Okay. So here's the from our friends at Soccer America. Here was Orlando's movement in the offseason. Out. Araujo, Gillespie, Loyola, Mercado, Shaq Muhammad, Kyle Smith, Thomas Williams, Dagger Dan, Schlegel, Nicola Rodriguez, Luis Muriel, Alex Freeman transferred out. You bring in the 3 U22s, Thiago, Luis Otavio, and Iago. You bring in those 3 U22s. One's a forward from Bahia on a transfer. That's Thiago. International slot for Luis Otavio on a U22, and then you transferred in Iago from Flamengo. So you end up with a forward, a midfielder, and a defender, all from Brazil, all U22s. Your DPs, Martin Ojeda, Pasalic, and Brian Ojeda. Ojeda came in as on the trade from RSL. Maxime Crépeau comes in. You sign your super draft pick, Nolan Miller. You bring in your super draft pick, Harvey Sarajian, and you bring in Griffin Dorsey, which I thought was a great move for Orlando, and then then you sign your homegrown Justin Ellis. And so that was your offseason for Orlando City. And you end up at that point, and then your GAM in a month's time, as of about a month ago, it's about $2.6 million. So you had $2.6 million left in GAM. Everybody that was out, all the young players that were brought in, plus Griffin Dorsey and Maxime Crépeau. But there are defensive issues in Orlando, and they had basically said, no, we're done. And it is now time to bring in our friend Niko Moreno to discuss, as he is now settled in the chair. He's ready to go. I saw you kind of becoming one with the universe for a second. That's why I wanted to kind of delay for about 2 beats before I brought you in, because you had sat down and you were just kind of wiping the brow and getting everything all squared away. I wanted to let it settle in for a minute before you came in this morning.
I appreciate you, John. We are coming to you, and we're already with some lag, and that is concerning me. But hopefully we can figure it out. Now again, see if that helps out a little bit, or are you hearing me okay?
You're heard fine. You are clean and green, my friend. You're good to go on my end.
Wonderful. So yes, excited to be on. I was kind of in a hurry there, trying to get things for your show. Of course, there's been a lot to talk about over this week, man. It's been, if it's not World Cup, it's CCC or MLS. So I got to tell you, I've been on the run. I got my third cup of coffee for today already. So I'm probably not going to do anything the rest of the day, or at least till noon. But yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right. So I was discussing Oscar Pareja as you were coming in, and there it goes. All right. So I was wondering what was going to happen there. So we'll see what is up with Niko, and I'm guessing somebody tried to call him, which is traditionally how that goes, is that someone will try and call him, and then he'll have to log back in. So, or battery died or something like that. But we will bring in our buddy Niko, and we'll find out what's going on there with Niko coming up here in a sec. But yeah, I do want to talk about Oscar Pareja. I do want to talk about the Triple C. I do want to talk about match week 4. And so it'll be a bit of a 20-minute lightning round when Niko can hop back in and let us know what's going on. So, okay. All right. So here we go. So let's try it. Let's take number 2, as the man has his settings. He's getting his settings all setting. So here we go. All right. So hit me. How do you sound?
It looks better. I knew there was something wrong. It felt like they were about to kick me out. Either the Inter Miami police are on us again, or maybe it's Garber. I don't know. Somebody's messing with my streams, man. Maybe it's my Wi-Fi that I got to reboot. But yes, just excited to be on. Lots to talk about, as you know. Sorry for the technical difficulties, SDH family, and of course the man in the chair, John Nelson.
Well, it's all good. When you were coming in, I was breaking down the whole Oscar Pareja situation. I had a soundbite from January and a conversation that he had with our friend Mike Gramajo down at West TV, where 2 months ago Oscar was not happy, and he said so at media day. And he's like, "I'm always looking for more players." And so, at the end of the day, you bring in 3 new U22s, you bring in Griffin Dorsey, you sign your homegrowns. You have a lot of folks that leave. And I don't know if the inbound met the outbound. I don't think it did, but there were defensive problems that he had. And so now with Oscar being gone after the 5-0 whooping, I'll put it that way, in the Bronx, I now have questions about, well, why were things so bad in Orlando that you just felt like you had no choice after match day 3? Should you have not just done something in the offseason if you were that disappointed going in? The timing for this is my biggest question here, considering, was it so bad that he was going to get tarmacked? So I have more questions really than I do answers when it comes to Oscar Pareja.
I do too, especially because the day after that 5-0 loss at New York in Yankee Stadium, I was able to talk to a couple of people, and it sounded like at least those close to Oscar Pareja, after conversations with the club, it sounded like they were going to allow him to correct course and try to figure out what was going on. Now, I do know that there has been a difference of opinion in regards to Oscar Pareja when it comes to the front office. I'm not sure if it's Ricardo Morera and people above him or what the situation is, but it did seem like everybody was pulling the sheet on the end of their corner. And at the end of the day, Oscar Pareja falls off the bed. But I do feel like he is being used a little bit as a scapegoat. That roster was a little disbalanced, was very disbalanced. I do feel like if he was not being forced players, there are some players that to me felt like they didn't have that Oscar Pareja-esque either play or background intangibles, and maybe that's what you mentioned had to do with the Oscar Pareja is someone that is very firm, and as everybody know, he can be very fiery. He wants to be able to handle his project, his team the way he wants it. And maybe after the first 6 years, it was the Pareja show, but then after, things started to change. So all in all, I think that, and we talked about this, Oscar Pareja is a guy that, in my opinion, turned around Orlando City for the best. He made him a contender, always in the playoffs, got him a title. But Oscar Pareja has always been a guy whose only criticism has been, can he put your team in that next level? So if that was the reasoning, why not do it last year? Why extend them through 2028? And all of a sudden, 3 games into the season, you let him go. And now you put everybody at jeopardy. You put this group of players at jeopardy. You put the season in jeopardy. If there was going to be a transition, it should have been done in the offseason. And you don't extend a coach that you're not sure about. So that's where I'm coming with. There's got to be a difference of opinion from somewhere, where there were those who believed in the Pareja project and some who were fed up and done with. And that split, you could hear it throughout the fan base. So it's fine. That's an opinion that, in a conversation, that's fair to have. But the timing and the way that it was done, I don't agree with. And he does feel very knee-jerky rather than a methodical idea of what's going to make your club better. Because right now, I don't feel like that without Oscar Pareja, this team's going to be any better.
And that was, the biggest thing for me. I'm sitting here and I'm trying to quickly scan and look at the roster and check the contract situations. The 2 Ojedas and Pasalic are under contract for at least 1 more year, if not more. Brian and Martin Ojeda through 28-29 with an option year. Pasalic is at 27. And I'm just going to look and see. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 3 senior roster players, and then you have 3 supplementals that you have decisions on at the end of the 26th season. It is Angulo, Cartagena, Gerbe, and Adrian Marin. and Sukata. So you got a handful of players in your it's 5 senior spots that you have decisions to make, and it's not a TAM or a U22 or a DP. All of these folks are locked in from 27 and beyond. So you invest this money bringing in these dudes, and they're not just, the 1 year, they're like 27, 28, 29. And so you would have had to have been confident enough in those folks to understand where Oscar was coming from and mesh as a unit. And the impatience 3 matches in, it's like, okay, this isn't working. It's untenable or what have you. It just comes across as just odd for me, considering what you've invested in players that you brought in the offseason.
Absolutely. And that is the reality of things, that the way this roster was constructed, it's almost felt over the last couple of seasons where maybe the season is part of how well you do in the season is part of what the ownership wants to do, but they seem very concerned about finding the next best thing, the next best U22, and they're getting all these guys to potentially move them on the way they did with the striker that they brought in, Ramirez. But in terms of the players that are supposed to help you in the season, I mean, that just seems like a second thought almost. So for me, when I look at the product on the field, Oscar Pereira can only do so much. If you have all these new players that got to get used to the new system, got to be able to come in and perform. And that's why it's interesting that a guy like Dorsey, he is one that was probably one of your later, lesser important type of signings, and he looked like one of the most productive ones on the field. So I do think that Orlando City is becoming a place where there is a difference of opinions, and until the front office doesn't figure out the course that they want to take, is going to continue to look disjointed on the field.
Triple C. I talked off the top about what happened in CONCACAF last night and yesterday. And I started with San Diego and Toluca, which went off the rails and off Coronado Point and into the Pacific in the 12th minute, and it never came back. And I think that the center ref in the match last night in San Diego was probably given a match that he couldn't handle, because the match was out of control. Players were constantly crowding him, specifically Toluca players. Even more so after the Ingevartsen red card in the 12th minute. And you get through all of that chaos, it ends up as a big win for San Diego. It's just like San Diego, I think, just got mad. It's like like in Rocky 3 when they have the rematch at the end, and it's Clubber Lang, and Clubber Lang is in there, and and Rocky's in there, and he's just getting hit by Clubber, and Apollo's kind of sitting there wondering what's going on. He's getting murdered. No, he's getting mad. Paulie saying he's just getting mad. And I think that's what happened to San Diego last night. They're down a man. They go up 3-1. Then you have the 2 penalty situations, and that was the only way that Toluca would score. But that match in and of itself was chaotic. It ended up as a big win, I think, for Mikey Veras. But you're not going to have Ingevartsen. You're not going to have Dua. But you do get Anibal Godoy back for the reverse. But it would just there were too many subplots in that one last night.
It was thrilling TV, to be honest. And it was very CONCACAF. But as I put on socials out there, that was a master class from San Diego on how to keep your shape, stay aggressive, and believe in your concepts, regardless of you going down a man or going down 2. And look, it is a sloppy, reckless a little bit from Ingvartsen to put up his foot in the manner that he did.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I guess it's a reaction, but you just got to be smarter than that. You're giving that referee the opportunity to not just give you a red card, but all of a sudden it's a penalty kick, and it starts off the game pretty poorly. But San Diego FC, if anything, is going to be true to their form, and the rondos never stop. The ball possession never stopped. The ability to expose the flanks never stopped. Dryer's a guy that just is magical, and he is relentless, and he continues to get better. I think Valkyrie's a guy that, man, he's so poised on the ball. He also, I think yesterday was extremely important in terms of attitude and character and getting his team right, and you're chirping at the ref, and you're making sure that it's not just the Toluca guys that are, crying over things or whatever. You have to be able to match that energy, and I think that he was part of it. Defensively, they were poised, and until Dua went out, and now Dua's red card I don't love as much. Just putting yourself in that situation, where whether that ball goes in or not, it doesn't matter. The goalkeeper was trying to make it safe. You don't know what happens when he does, but just extending that arm like that is a young guy that has a lot of potential, having a silly decision, and that ends up costing the team, I think, more, because as you mentioned, now you got to go and figure out on the second leg how you're going to replace these players. Now, if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Mikey, and he's going to figure it out. But at the end of the day, that is what allowed Toluca to kind of get into this game, because with one less player, San Diego was so much better than Toluca was. El Turco Mohamed looked in disbelief from the bench. I mean, he had no idea what was going on. He kept yelling at people in the midfield, where are you going? I mean, until maybe the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the game, where Toluca, with a couple of guys more than San Diego, were able to really push back that San Diego line. But man, what a performance from San Diego.
No doubt. And you mentioned that you've got that one. You have Nashville trotting out a very, very young lineup, going up against Messi and friends, ends up as a goalless draw. They touted the fact that we held Inter Miami scoreless. Instead of focusing on yourself, I think the wording was a little backward. You probably should have said, young Nashville defense holds Inter Miami scoreless, instead of sitting there and saying, we held Inter Miami scoreless. No, it's just that they don't score on us. No, you have to sit there and say, our defense held them. The phraseology was odd in their releases. You end up with now the final two matches tonight of the opening legs, and you end up with Cascadia, where Seattle is a big underdog going up against Vancouver tonight. What's your gut tell you?
Yes. Before we get into the Sounders, I do want to just do a small thing on LAFC. The disrespect on Alajuelense is crazy. And if you thought that there were going to be pushovers, then you don't really know about this team that is very good in this sort of tournaments. And this is actually the best La Liga team that I've seen in a long time. At least 2-3 years, they haven't had a team that's this put together. I think that the goalkeeper was phenomenal. LAFC tried. I don't get the whole this is a disgrace type of situation. This is CONCACAF. And if you are not used to and ready for the dark arts and a team that's going to bunker down and just play so deep that you have to go break them down, and they're going to hit and push and really slow down, muddy the game, then you don't watch enough CONCACAF. And I suggest that you do, because that's what you're going to see time and time again when you have this type of Central American type soccer club. So I just wanted to put that out there. I think that people overreacted to the whole situation. I thought that the tactics were right. I thought that LAFC created a lot of opportunities, and they just got faced with a wall on top of another wall and a goalkeeper that was phenomenal. So just wanted to put that out there. Now, the Sounders go to Vancouver with some injuries, with some issues, with being the clear underdog in this one. I've called it a uphill battle, and I stay on that. Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible for the Sounders to go to BC Place and get a result. I want to make that extremely clear. I think that the Sounders, with the correct tactics, with a team that is relentless and that tends to play even better in this sort of situation when nobody's giving him a chance, because how good and how talented Vancouver is and all of the injuries that the Sounders have. But they will have to be not just good with their shape and the moments that they decide to get numbers forward. But just like I mentioned about San Diego, you have to match the intensity. If there was something that Seattle did in the Club World Cup was show that as long as you match intensity, as long as you give yourself a chance in every game, talent can be talent, but if you're matching or overplaying into that sort of aspect of the game, you can give yourself a chance. So that's what the Sounders need to do. They cannot go to BC Place and bunker or absorb pressure or allow those monsters with Mueller and AZ coming at you and Brian White and all that talent that they have to just smother you. You got to make them defend. You got to be able to expose the flanks. So, we talked to Freddie Juarez, who spoke yesterday because Brian Smetzer apparently was sick. Hopefully he's okay to coach this game. But no Hassani Dotson. He's under concussion protocol as far as we know. Paul Rothrock is back, but I wouldn't expect him to start. He is available, but I wouldn't think that for 90 minutes. So there are some things that are going to have to change. Paul Arriola will certainly start with Ferreira on the opposite end. So what can that duo do for you? We'll see. This is going to be about that sort of matchup. So how can Nuhu play off against Sabi and Ocampo pushing on that left side? What can Alex Roldan do on the right side to make AC Jackson defend a little bit? The midfield battle between Cubas, Bellhalter, and what's going to be Christian Roldan and Snyder Burnell. Those are going to be the things that are going to decide this game. I do think that there's a fair reason why Vancouver is a clear favorite. So we'll see how the Sounders respond, but it's not going to be an easy game for the Rave Green.
No, and then you have to turn around and you end up with a full slate this weekend in Major League Soccer. And, mercifully, the schedule makers made you as the last game of the weekend for Sunday Night Soccer, but you got to go to San Jose. I'm just wondering, and we've seen this in the past where it's been 3 matches in a week where you're going to have to take the bullet on one of these. And I'm wondering what the lineup's going to look like in, San Jose on Sunday night, Eastern time, if things aren't going well tonight. Then does Brian sit there and go, you know what? I'm going to take this that I have in the hotel room. I'm going to take this and just go like that. And, it is what it is. And I'll prep for San Jose. But if things are going well, then it might be one of the youngest. And Paulo Nagamura might be sitting there and cursing under his breath about all the short-term deals that get signed for Sunday. I'm intrigued just because of that interplay that you're going to have with Cascadia and CONCACAF. And then you've got to go Sunday night and figure out how to go to San Jose for a San Jose team that's been pretty hot out of the blocks. I'm intrigued.
Yes, I'm intrigued too. I am intrigued too. I'm still not a believer though. Let's not forget that San Jose started off 2-0 last season, and then it all kind of fell apart. They had their moments. I thought that they looked okay against Philadelphia. I thought Philadelphia was the more dangerous team, and I think it took San Jose until Timo Werner came into the game and that second half for them to really find some of their better opportunities. And Philadelphia, they're really missing a little bit of TNT, a little bit of dynamite in that attacking end, but let's leave it there. Obviously, San Jose is a quality squad, so I'm totally with you. What does Brian Smetzer do? I don't think he'll throw in the towel. Obviously, it'd be 180 minutes of CCC. That's the way he's probably looking at it. Now, does he park the bus a little bit earlier if he's getting a result? Perhaps that could be something that he might do. I have been a little bit maybe overly critical in the fact that Jesus hasn't had 90 minutes of play so far, and I definitely think he's one of those players or one of the few players that you have left that's giving you some offensive output. So we'll see how that kind of plays out, but I do expect this group to stay in this game as far as they can. They're going to want to push Vancouver. And although I do think, and we heard from Brian himself, that MLS play is his priority, he wants to stay in this tournament. He wants to get farther. He wants to beat Vancouver, and he's going to give himself a chance to at least go into a Spokane with a result or a result he can come back from. So I think he'll play his best players as long as he has to. And to your point, if it's 3-0, then maybe you just stop the bleeding and you just bring in the young guys to just defend. But hopefully that's not the case. But it is going to be interesting how this plays out. I do expect most of the rotation to happen against San Jose, and maybe that gives San Jose another kind of asterisk win. I'm still not a believer, John. That's the whole point. Still not a believer.
Okay. What other matchup? One matchup before we get out of here. I've got to focus on. It is Crew in Nashville going into this weekend, because there's a lot of games that are kind of fizzy, and you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, great. One matchup that kind of stuck to me was Crew in Nashville. Then you've also got Charlotte and Messi and Friends. Messi and Friends favored going to Charlotte, but I think really the marquee, unless there's another one that you have, is Crew in Nashville. Crew is favored at a +104.
And I can see why, right? I mean, we just talked about Nashville and Inter Miami playing. I'm not so convinced on Columbus. It seems like every time I watch them, the more holes I see in their game, to be quite frank. And they have their own issues defensively, and I don't know that last. The last component for this team isn't just quite there, and I don't want to say it's about the roster, and maybe it's the change of coaching. They're coming from a good game, right? I mean, they were able to get some goals on the board, but I don't know. I like Nashville. I really do. I think that Nashville, even with a rotated team, I think that they could hold off for a draw. I mean, that's kind of being Columbus's thing, is that they either get in the game in the first half or in the second half, but I haven't seen them do 90 minutes of good soccer. So I think this is going to be one that could potentially be a draw.
Okay. So what's going on Sounder at Heart and Pulso Sports, and at the Sounder at Heart Delicatessen as they're getting ready for activity in Vancouver?
Yes. So right now, we finally uploaded the JP interview. That one was a long time coming, but you should definitely check it out. That's on Love and Scorchers. Great talk with JP. You don't want to miss that. We have everything that was said during the week in Pulso Sports. We are going to do what we learned this week on Friday, so tomorrow, which should be great because we'll have the game that was in Vancouver, depending on what that looks like, the game that's coming up against San Jose and the Quakes and Bruce Arena and the whole thing with Schmetzer and how they're the oldest coaches. I mean, it's going to be a really good time. And then what's going to be ahead in terms of Spokane. We are going to be at Spokane. So make sure that you guys are following Pulso Sports. We're going to be doing the whole thing, the whole pregame. We're going to be at the stadium. So go ahead and check that out. And of course, on Monday, don't forget kickoff with Ari Lillenwall and myself on Love and Scorchers.
You got it, my friend. It's always great to see you. We will catch up with you again this time next week. You are awesome and a half. All right. And go get your third cup of coffee.
Appreciate you.
All right, so there goes Niko Moreno, Pulso Sports and Sounder at Heart. He's going to go spend time at the Providence and Swedish Delicatessen and License Renewal Place. All right, so I forgot to tell Nino that we had our time change. We sprung forward last week, and so he's thinking that he's under a normal 5 hours when really it's like 6 or something. So I'm going to bring Nino in real quick. My brother, give me a good rant to wrap up the show this morning. Hit me with your best shot for a good two and a half minutes.
Oh shit, man! I got a long thing, but I wanna make it short because it happened yesterday. It was crazy. A journalist received a death threat. Yes, a death threat from so-called fans. Those are no fans. It's going just ridiculous here in Peru because of the colors. Whether you support one team or whether you support another team, it doesn't matter the colors. It doesn't matter who you're rooting for. It matters here that we're human beings and we are professionals and we're doing the best we can. And I know because we say something that you don't like, you're gonna threat me. Okay, and especially that threats, Johnny. This is where are we now as a society now? I mean, it is insane.
I know
it's insane.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on that stuff. How was Fubo last weekend?
It was fantastic, man. I was on my return to cover Liga Portugal. We have 8 goals in 2 games, man. I just couldn't ask for more, man. 2 clásicos, 8 goals in 1 weekend. It was phenomenal. So I got a quick story. I'm gonna make it quick for you because I know that we got only a short time. I got a story files. Yep. By the time he was Barcelona, is an empty envelope so he could buy some time in order to get the signature from Maradona. So he provided the envelope. Yeah, we got the signature. We're all empty, right? So he flew to Barcelona, get the signature, got back, and overnight he talked to a guard, and he told him, this is the cross, the rooster scroll. That was the phrase, the rooster scroll. And they swapped the envelopes with the signature. He got the empty one, and Syria got the right one. And then that's why Maradona could play and be the absolute legend for Napoli in Serie A, because of an empty envelope.
No doubt. Okay, so really quickly.
You didn't know that one, huh?
No, I did not know that one. We mentioned Valverde. He just scored again, according to Ricky Ricardo in our Twitch pitch. Sporting Cristal's in the group stage. Yes, we're going to keep an eye on that because that gives us a chance to keep an eye on our buddy Luis Abram and keep Germany in Germany for next week. So think an hour earlier. Think an hour earlier.
Yes.
So now that we have time changed and everything, so an hour earlier from now for you next week, and you come back in Lima, Peru. But I'm glad we got the rant in. I'm glad we got Maradona and the empty envelope in. We love you very much. And who are you calling this weekend on Fubo?
Of course, Porto and Benfica, brother. You know, Benfica plays on Saturday and Porto plays on Sunday. So we'll see if the Dragons can sustain the distance that they're having now, because they have 4 points clear at the top, and we'll see if they can continue to sustain that lead.
You got it, brother. Love you very much. We'll see you next week.
I'll see you, buddy.
There he goes. It's Nino Torres. And he fell victim to the time change. I hate that. I was about to cuss too. All right, so that's it for today. We're back in the hotel tomorrow for one more day. I'm off to the Macon Coliseum to do high school basketball. 1 o'clock start on GPB, gpb.org, the GPB Sports app. I'm the host for the entire thing, and we'll be back here 9:05 tomorrow morning. It is Dave Leno from Philadelphia Union. See if we can catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring. It is Jorge Perez Navarro who's going to be joining us at 10 o'clock, and then Jess Charman, who's going to be calling the game on Apple TV on the English side. She gets an OG hometown phone call at 10:30. So it's Dave Leno, hopefully Beyond Goals, Jorge Perez Navarro, and Jessica Charman, and that'll get us into Friday and previewing anything and everything else going on. We are out. Thanks for putting up with me once again in the hotel room, and we'll be back at it again in a little less than 22 hours. Since it is the end of the show, that means we get to do this. See you, unless I hit the wrong button. Now we're going to play the ending, because since it's the end of the show, see you in 22 hours means I get to do this. And thanks to Nino, thanks to Niko, and thanks to Skate, and thanks to y'all. We'll see you tomorrow.